Through the Great Lakes Local Action Fund, the Muskrat Watershed Council has received a grant to help them to put in plants and cattle fencing.
We are in the township of Adamson-Brumley along an agricultural drainage ditch that carries some water all year, but in the spring carries a heavy flow of water off agricultural fields. For this area, because it's agricultural on the sides, the farmer didn't want large trees that were going to end up overhanging and he'd have to trim and that would encroach on his land. So what we've done is picked natural species of shrubs that will grow along here, that will have a nice root base, that will stand it when it's a little bit flooded in the spring. And they will catch nutrients and stop them from flowing in with the water. The grasses will grow up around it and it will be a filter before the water runs into the drainage ditch. Because the agricultural runoff contains phosphates and nitrates, nutrients that as they go into the watershed can cause algae, overgrowth of aquatic plants in the watershed that die down and then produce their own phosphorus. So when you put these buffers in, what happens is it catches those nutrients before they get into the drains, into the ditches, and it filters some of it out.
With 2,000 trees to be planted, Karen credits the volunteers for lending a hand.
Biongo has so graciously lent us their students who are happily planting in the background, along with JB2G has sent some employees from their consultant firm, and they are also helping.
There were many eager high school students planting trees, and we met with one student who is taking biology, and he told us why it was important for him to be participating.
Well, personally, I'm participating because Muskrat Lake is not a man-made thing, so I think it's a little more precious than other lakes that are man-made. So I think trying to save it is very important. That and the blue algae is just going to spread to other lakes and destroy more habitats. So I think it's fairly important to slow it down as much as possible until we do find a solution to get rid of it. I first heard about the blue algae, just research through that. Then I started talking more about it with Mr. Demons in biology. That's where I first really got the idea and just kind of went from there, and I thought it was really important to help out the community in the water and whatever lives inside it.
The Muskrat Watershed is excited to be the recipient of a few grants recently, and there have been more projects they have been completing.
Yes, one is from the province of Ontario, the Great Lakes Local Action Fund grant. It was a larger grant that gave us the money to do all of this, and we got a smaller grant from Watersheds Canada, Love Your Lakes, and the Canadian Wildlife Federation. We have done some keeping cattle out of the waterways by doing some cattle fencing, and on one farm provided a solar watering system at the back of the farm so that the cattle can still be watered, but they will not be accessing the river. We are so happy to be able to do this because cattle in the river is one of the top things that you don't want to see. It's not good for the farmers' cattle. It's not good for the environment. It erodes the banks. This way we can fix the bank up. The cattle will be healthier because there are so many things they can get from drinking that water also. The Muskrat Watershed Council is a not-for-profit registered charity. We have charitable status, so we can give tax deduction receipts. And what we do is we're totally volunteer, and we work on projects to help better the water quality in the Muskrat Watershed, which runs for about 500 square kilometers. It starts just outside of Cobden, not too far, just in the edge of Horton Township, and runs right towards Pembroke and comes out right past Eastside Marihills down into the Ottawa River.
To learn more about this non-for-profit local organization, you can visit them at muskratwatershedcouncil.com. Reporting for your TV, I'm Tiana Tierney.